Alright guys, thanks for tuning back into the Filthy 5150 RC channel. We are going to continue with the Axialfest 2016 rig builds. Now, this is one of my buddy's rigs. We're in his garage shooting. He gave us permission to feature the rig on my channel. And some of you guys are like, oh, it's just a Wraith. It's more than a Wraith. There's a lot of work and time and sweat and tears in this thing. My other buddy Phil is actually joining me on the channel today. He's actually going to go over the front end of this rig. And we're going to continue with this with one more build after this one, so stay tuned.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Phil with Filthy 5150 RC's channel. I'm going to go over our friend Rob's Wraith real quick. We're going to start off with his tires. He's actually running the Locked Up RC, I believe the Iconic tires. He actually bought their wheel widener kit, so that's actually why you can see a little bit more of a gap behind the bead lock ring here before it actually gets to the wheel face. And he also has the scale bolt kit for the thing, which just add a little bit more, character to it. I'm going to go ahead and kind of spin this thing around so we can get another look at everything. So getting around to the Wraith, or the Vanquish Curry axle, just the Rock Jock one, not the new F9. He's running the Vanquish VVDs, which you go figure, it's actually showing the Vanquish emblem right now. He's got a somewhat interesting steering setup. It's what's called the suicide steer. We actually just converted this from his original find of suicide steering to using the Vanquish links instead. So if I remember correctly, this side is a 95mm link and this side is an 80mm link, using the Revo rod ends to create the suicide steer, which, as you guys can see, it is a very nice smooth motion, which is then connected up to the axial heavy-duty servo horn, which he's also running a Futaba BLS 177SV servo, which is the same as the 177 or 172 SV servo, aside from the top housing is actually made out of aluminum as well. The 172, it's plastic. Then you can see the Vanquish servo armor up there, which is going to the Vanquish servo mounts. And that way you can get a slightly better look of that. And other than that, it's all Vanquish stuff. He's actually running, now he just changed over to the Locked Up RC FI heavyweight spool, which we actually have another one sitting right here in a package. So just a nice solid hunk of metal that has just the keyways for the axles to go into. The reason why he just changed over to these is that he was actually running the GCM spool, which, as you can see, has these set screws. And we were having a problem that even after just a several hour run, these set screws were backing off regardless of how much Loctite we put on them. It just seemed to be a problem in the front because he actually has the GCM spool in the rear, and he hasn't had a single problem with it yet. So we're assuming it has something to do with axles needing to be able to turn that's causing them to back out. And we'll be back in just a second going over the front suspension.
Alright, getting into the front suspension, we are looking at the G-made piggyback reservoir shocks. Now this is a true reservoir. It actually works as the shock compresses. It's actually moving the oil back and forth between the piggyback. These are 100mm in length. They do require assembly when purchased, but they are a very good shock. They can bleed, and you can change all the tensions up here. Also in the front suspension, you have the UC Fad trailing arms, which are also in the rear. You'll see once we pan back here, but it's front and rear UC Fad trailing arms, which were purchased at Axialfest last year. Thanks UC Fad for coming through on those. Then we also have the MIP spline drive shafts front and rear. Those were a very, very needed upgrade on this car. Everybody knows the wild bore shafts are good, but they're not as good as a MIP drive shaft. Moving up a little bit higher to the upper links, these are Blue Monkey titanium upper links, I believe. The only difference between front and rear is the rear actually is running a Jado rod end, and the front is running the E-Revo rod end. Moving on to the rear is where a lot of the custom work was actually done. Now if you look here, you see one massive shock. I'll give you a kind of a look. This is a Integi hex wrench, and it's not far off its length. That's because that is a Savage, or HPI Savage upgraded aluminum body shock. That's a full Savage shock that's on an Axial Wraith with custom shock mounts, as you see here. And those are braced with the axial, I believe they're spacers. were used to brace them so they held up nice and strong and didn't push over or break. As you can see, there's also the UC Fab trailing arms, like I mentioned, the Blue Monkey RC upper links. There's the Jado longer Jado rod end. That's the difference, if you don't know, between the Jado rod end and the E-Revo rod end, is the Jado is longer. The MIP splined rear shaft, and something a little bit different and new to this rig actually is going to be the sway bar kit from Axial. It's nice and pretty right now because it actually hasn't been ran with this on there. It was just added to see if we can control a little bit more of that torque that we were getting out of this crazy motor in this car. So what you're looking at here is the Vanquish Curry Rock Jock center axle. As I mentioned before, on my particular axle is you have to run the Jado longer rod ends, so make sure that you're doing that if you're going to a center axle. In this particular axle, he is running the GCM right there. That's it right there. Now on the GCM, like it was pointed out before in the beginning, it does have two points of contact on this side and 2 points of contact on this side. So it actually pinches right into the middle there and holds that axle center inside of that housing.
Note with that, only if it's adjusted properly.
Only if it's adjusted properly. You have to make sure that it's kind of like a balance thing. You have to make sure that they're pinched in all at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a very odd wobble, kind of cambered. Think of it like this. You're getting pinched in one side higher up here and then lower here. So what's going to happen is if you're pinched up, you're going to have a wobble like this. And when you rotate, you're going to rotate kind of like an O instead of just a tight circle. What he also has on here are the Vanquish 850 hubs that he's got on the rears. And then in the front, he has the 600s. I can't remember if we mentioned that, but it's 600 in the front and 850s in the rear. It's a lot more stability in the rear because of its width, and this rig is heavy, so the more stable it can be, the better off it's going to be. Now, we talked about foams and tires and everything else in the beginning. Just to show you kind of what's inside of this tire here, these are going to be the Crawler Innovations Deuces Wild foam.
Sorry, double deuce.
No, these are double deuces. Excuse me. These are the double deuces. This is a set that's already been ran, but this is a ring on the outside, foam ring. That's what the inside tread looks like. So this actually helps keep this on. If I flip this inside out, you'll see there's a bit, if I get a good shot on it, there's a bit of a pattern that got pressed into this particular foam. This is a medium outside. You can also buy soft and firm, and then also tuning rings. So if you have a tire, kind of like the XOR, where it's a bit wider, and so you won't end up with tons of sidewall slop. Like if I really wanted to, I could pinch the hell out of this and get a whole lot of pinch there. I don't know if you can see that, but you can get sidewall rings to fill in that whole tire. So you can basically fill the entire tire if you wanted to, and that's from Crawler Innovations. They make it very easy to tune with your tires and everything else. Moving on to another option that you can use in your particular tire combos are the Deuces Wild single stage. These are a tall, and the talls work with something like the Pitbull Rock Beast or Rock Beast 2, which are a very tall tire, have a tall sidewall. These will fill that very, very well. I know for a fact that in the XOR, you don't need a tall, but you can still run a tall. It's just all up to you and what you want to do. The nice thing about the closed cell foams is they're waterproof. Unlike this particular foam, where if you get it wet, it's going to start to disintegrate over time. It's going to break down. You're not going to have that nice cushion anymore. It's basically just going to become hard or brittle and just basically chew itself away once it gets wet.
Another note on that, guys, this particular rig is actually running firm in the rear and medium in the front because of the weight. The tires were actually compressing too much with the soft. Alright guys, we're going to move on to the little goodies that this thing has. It's just extra stuff. We're going to be moving around the camera, so sorry if it seems shaky. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Mad Dog RC light pods here. Again, just like on Filthy's rig, 700 lumens, stupid bright, freaking awesome at night. Just underneath that, you can see the front of it here. That's another one of the KMS 480 winches. Things are so strong, it never had a problem snapping the winch line that comes with it. We guesstimate between 50 to 100 pound test line on there, and it snapped it and doesn't even think about it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to his front electronics box here. which is actually made from a RC four-wheel drive fuel cell. Go ahead and take this cover off. Oh, and just as a note, the fuel cell is all aluminum, which is kind of a nice little thing. So we have micro Deans going off, and actually this is to run the servo from the BEC that is in the bag. And then again, just like Filthy mentioned on his bomber rig, there is the voltage regulator and amperage regulator for the light pods. And right here, which you can barely see, but that is actually a Hey-OK winch controller. This one is the 4 amp, or actually the relay winch controller. They make multiple versions of this guy. This particular one happens to be a high voltage with soft start. They also make a high voltage and low voltage with variable speed, which is in another rig that is kind of in our group. Do not recall if there was anything else inside this box that was actually really worth mentioning, which I'm not seeing anything, being not exactly my rig, but we're just trying to show off a friend's stuff. Then Phil's going to go ahead and kind of continue on with some of the other little bits that this thing has.
Now, obviously, you guys are probably looking around this rig and wondering where in the hell all the metal came from. Well, Integi decided just to throw up under the hood, basically. So right here, you got your Integi aluminum shock hoops, or mounts, whatever you want to call them. Then you, on the T-bar, as described in the manual, this is also Integi. They have Integi posts, aluminum posts that drop down to the chassis to mount down. Then it's the upper brace is also Integi. So the front end of this particular rig is very, very rigid. A lot of strength. So when he's going and he's twisting around the rocks and crawling or whatever else, the chassis actually is not giving. So he's getting full throw of the suspension left or right. Also in here, to make it even more stiff, is the battery tray, which actually he made by hand. He made one for me as well on my Wraith when I had it. But this is something he made out of aluminum by hand, and it actually works really well. Fits in there nice and snug, and it's a little bit wider than some of the other ones that are out there, and it's definitely a lot thicker.
Go ahead and spin this thing around so we can show off the stuff inside the cab.
Now our buddy Rob likes to, you can say, tinker. Right here he's got his dash. He put in aluminum bracing in here to make it even stronger in this inner middle section, because there's not a whole lot of bracing in this particular area in terms of twisting the chassis. So he actually made this himself, bent it, measured it out, cut it, and it actually looks pretty good. And he also has his switches up here, which is an on and off switch for the power, which is the tall one, and then the shorter one is actually for the Mad Dog lights up front, and these lights right here up top. If you guys are familiar, I'll move it this way a little bit so you guys can see the lights up in here. If you guys are familiar with the Yeti's, he kind of mocked the same thing of the Yeti's, except for he did it with his own mount he made out of aluminum that's placed underneath this roof. And then he also did the RC four-wheel drive. Or no, these are the Mad Dog lights. Excuse me, these are the Mad Dog light bars. These are the 2-inch light bars that he has on either side. And they're mounted in there really well. I mean, they're sturdy. They're not going anywhere. And it looks really cool and gives a total different look to this truck.
We're going to continue spinning around towards the back here, which we have another one of the RC four-wheel drive fuel cells that he's actually using as a receiver box. He has just a bunch of wire connections and everything else inside there. His receiver sits inside of there. And then just in front of that, you can actually start to see the ESC and also his, let me get a light. And he's also running a Castle Creations Pro BEC with actually a hot racing fan to help keep the thing cool. So it's a 20 amp BEC. I believe we currently have his running at about 8 volts. And it's strictly to power up that Futaba servo in the front to make sure that it has all the power it could ever want.
Maybe. But anyways, I'm going to pan out a little bit. If you guys saw, the Wraith doesn't come with this tub. This tub he made. It is awesome. And it's a full tub. You get all the way underneath here, under the fuel cell. He's got a whole wall. You see it right here. It's awesome. And it's very clean, very tight, and it gives a whole nother scale look to this rig. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. And he was very adamant that we said that it was made out of
316 stainless.
Very adamant about saying that. I mean, I don't know how many times do you say that? Like 3 or 4 or 5 times?
At least. But I mean, very strong metal. Actually looks real good. I mean, it took him a long time to get that to fit in there well.
Trying to bend it and get it right in one shot was not an easy feat.
All right, we're going to go ahead and cut real quick so that we can try to get this thing torn apart a little bit without getting us in trouble with our boy.
Yeah, we really don't have a...
but there's some stuff underneath this that we really want to show you guys.
Yeah.
Alright, continuing on with the running gear stuff, but we felt the need to stop and actually show off this hot racing transmission plate, or whatever it happens to be called. I don't own a Wraith, so I'm not 100% sure.
It's a transmission plate.
The hot racing one, all aluminum, actually has the different link mounts here for different lengths that you can adjust the angle of your axles. And the thing has bearings on it to help make sure that you slide over the rocks. Now, he's been running this thing for a good while, and we've been doing some pretty gnarly rock bashing. You can see that the hard anodizing happens to be holding up pretty well.
Sorry. And almost the same beading. This actually has the coating on it. This doesn't, and it's in silver, but I mean the wear.
I believe these are titanium.
I don't remember. I guess we'll have to look that up.
We'll have to talk to them if he's there this year.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move the camera around so that we can show the transmission that he happens to be running here. So, kind of tough with black on black on black, but there's actually a nice transmission in there. That's the RC 4-wheel drive 2-speed transmission. So you can kind of see the thing fitting in there, just to show that it actually is. I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera, because we happen to have another one sitting right over here. Kind of move things around. So, he likes this transmission so much that he decided to buy another one for another rig that he's building. So we have a nice little shifter unit here. You can mount a full-size servo if you would like. It's even got a different mount hole for a micro servo, which is what he happens to be running. We just kind of couldn't pull the thing down without disconnecting things and possibly causing problems. But he's actually running one of the little tiny Traxxas servos to operate this thing. One of the things that I do find a little wonky for the cost of these transmissions, which is somewhere around 130 to 150 bucks if I remember correctly, they don't come with a spur cover. You actually have to buy the spur cover separately. But when you do, it actually comes with a different motor plate. So, new motor plate to actually go with the spur cover. I believe it's like an extra $50 charge if you want to run that. One of the things I really do like about this transmission, its low gear ratio is 5.05 to 1, which is freaking huge. Now, when we move to the high gear ratio, they actually kept it pretty close to stock, if not stock, at 1.78 to 1. Which, I mean, the thing's fast, and it's got a lot of power for crawling. I mean, when he shifts down. So, now we're going to go ahead and go show his motor, because he decided to one-up all of us that we're running with, and buy the Holmes Hobby motor just as it came out. That is the Holmes Hobby Polar Pro XL.
Now, this particular motor is a 540 diameter. But if you guys are looking, you will realize that it is almost the same length as the transmission plate. This motor is insane for power.
What he's talking about there is it almost goes all the way back. Let me slide this one in here. That motor goes almost all the way back to the end of that shifter plate there. So almost all the way back to here. It is a long motor.
A very long motor, and that's why I believe that's one of the reasons it has so much torque. Now, for those of you in the crawling world are really familiar with this particular motor right here, I am. It's one of my favorite motors. This is the Tekin motor, the Rock 412. It's a 3100 kV. Everybody knows that this is a very good, very strong, very torquey motor. The Holmes Hobby dwarfs that motor. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Let me see if I can get some light on here.
At least an extra quarter inch.
That's got to be at least a quarter inch. I mean, it's massive, massive.
Let's see.
And it is a censored motor. If you guys didn't see it right here by my finger.
And 100% waterproof.
And 100% waterproof from Holmes Hobbies.
That
might actually work a little bit better. Let me line it up here again. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see the difference. I'm straight up motor plate to motor plate on both motors. And there you go. There's your difference. That length leads to a longer armature, longer magnets, and more wrap with that on the armature itself, which equates to a whole lot more power. He had to do a lot of breaking in on this motor. I mean, he literally has had this motor almost an entire year, if not longer, and
for just over a year.
Just over a year. Then I would say it's just now breaking in to where it's running really smooth. It took a long time to get really low end, just nice, smooth, slow crawl. At the low end, it would actually kind of chug along because of how strong the magnets are in this motor. Just to get past the next magnet and onto the next one, it would kind of chug, chug, chug. It was kind of crazy to watch. But now it's really nice and smooth. He's definitely got it smoothed out now. but it was just insane that it took just over a year to break that motor in.
Yeah, and he actually just changed the pinion spur ratio to try to help smooth it out even more, because even though the motor is finally broken in, it still has a tendency to jump to get that initial fire to get the motor to start turning. So he was running I believe a 15 pinion to a 64 spur, and he just jumped down to a 11 tooth pinion, and it seems much smoother now, and because of the gear ratio and everything, ridiculous amount of torque, but since he still has the high gear, he can still actually go pretty fast.
Oh, and just so you guys can see this, these adjustable mounts for the upper linkage, they're not the style that runs across the whole transmission plate as some of you are used to, because you can buy just link mounts that run across the stock transmission plate, and that's what most people do use when they do it. These ones only utilize the corner of the transmission plate, so it's not taking up a whole lot of room here, which is kind of nice because it leaves a little bit more room or an airflow to flow around your motor and keep the motor a little bit cooler. Also, one thing that we found out when we were testing between this year and last year is watching the tension or how well you're plugged in with that sensor cable. We found on a couple of our sensor cables that if you didn't push it in all the way and then double check the pins and where they sat on the actual motor, that it wasn't actually functioning. It was plugged in, but the pins weren't actually making contact to the receivers on the motor side. So you were actually getting low-end cog as if it wasn't even a censored motor.
Yep.
So make sure you guys double check all of your stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. This is, I'm going to call it the Monster Wraith, because I mean it's a beast. I mean, this thing is heavy. We put it on a scale that only goes up to about 11 pounds roughly, maybe 12, and it was not having it. It was just not even trying to give us a number.
Instant ouch.
So stay tuned. We got one more rig that we're going to review. It's going to be something that I can almost promise you I haven't seen other than what we have already, and I haven't seen it on any other YouTube videos on this particular rig. So I'm kind of excited to get it on the channel for you guys to check out, review, see. Some of you guys seen peeks of it in my other videos, but we're going to do some in-depth on that one for sure. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the